Coming up on In Your Neighborhood, Sunbury is becoming our latest hotbed for the arts with a makerspace called STEAM Innovation Labs on Market Street, where you can do just about anything creative, and around the block on Chestnut, where you'll find the Albright Center for the Arts, which held its first big event earlier in the spring.
Could your Wi-Fi service be more intuitive, proactive, secure, lovable? Guard you from conniving cybercrime? Give you complete control over every device? And turn connected devices into motion sensors? Relax and enjoy flawless adaptive Wi-Fi anytime and anywhere. Wi-Fi worth loving. HomePass from Plume.
There are a lot of avenues you can take to market your business, but one easy choice to make. The SECV8 Community Bulletin Board is an inexpensive way for you to get directly into the homes of the potential customers you want to reach. The Community Bulletin Board costs $6 a day and can reach up to 54,000 households. You can find out more by heading to secv8.com.
When he gets out, he needs a place to stay.
I don't want to mess this opportunity up.
If he does drugs,
he's out.
Get your things and leave.
I feel like I'm still in jail. When am I going to be free?
Inmate to Roommate. New episode Thursday at 10. Part of The Pursuit, a crime and investigation event only on A&E.
Welcome to In Your Neighborhood. I'm your host, Chris O'Rourke, and we're in Sunbury and on a very creative street, 4th Street. Behind me, STEAM Innovation Labs, and about a block down is the Albright Center for the Arts. We're going to head in here first, where there is plenty to see and do.
When you're cutting glass, you're not actually like cutting it like with scissors, you're just scoring the surface and then allowing the stress of the glass to have a place to go and hoping that it goes close to your lines.
Got it. Little did I know when I started out this day that I would be wearing safety goggles to watch a demonstration of how to cut stained glass. In all honesty, though, I wasn't really sure what to expect at STEAM Innovation Labs on Market Street in Sunbury. The first indication, though, of what we were getting into was the chalk art outside. Pretty impressive stuff, too. Inside was basically like a candy store for anyone who likes art, crafting, really any form of new technology, and even some old as well. Founder Megan Beck put it best. It's a gym for your creative side. To use an old analogy, it was kind of like peeling an onion. The further you move back into the building, the more layers you uncovered.
It's essentially a not-for-profit business, so we definitely are meant more for providing a community benefit, but we do try to have a business model so that we can make ends meet.
Had you ever done anything like this before?
Not exactly, but I've been very passionate about redevelopment, for community redevelopment and revitalization. So I was with an organization for a lot of years working on that here in Sunbury, Pennsylvania, and this grew out of that and seeing, looking for what does the community need, where does my interests match what the community needs. So.
And you felt the community needed something like this.
Yes, absolutely. I guess the current terminology is third spaces, so spaces where people can go other than work and home, where they can have community. And it's a great way to have community, so there's a lack of that for creative people in our area, especially rural areas. So I felt like we could really bring a home here for people that want to be creative.
Beck will be the first to tell you that she doesn't really do much art. Although she has taken some classes here, her talent is on the business side. So 5 years ago, this idea began to germinate in her head. In 2022, she found this vacant spot on the city's main street and made the leap, opening in December of that year. Her thinking all along was to create spaces for skills like woodworking, pottery, stained glass art, painting, and drawing, to name a few. As you wander around, you pass through the areas for these disciplines, along with their main art spot in their retail space at the front of the building. As Beck says, there are a lot of moving parts here across 12 different areas.
And you said you're searching for people to help you with certain aspects, but you have managed to accumulate a large number of experts.
Absolutely. Yeah, about 30 experts in different areas. So some of them come in here and volunteer on a regular basis. Some of them are lab captains and have taken on a portion of the space and are building and growing that part of the space. For instance, like the darkroom and photography lab was recently adopted by Alex Cantor. He's into darkroom photography. So, you know, in each one of our areas, we try and develop a lab captain who helps build and grow it. And I really hope that at some point people are starting businesses here and growing them out of the space into their own spaces, or perhaps an area grows so big that, you know, we can't house it here anymore and it gets its own space all on its own because there's so many people who have gravitated towards it and are growing it, and I would just love to see that.
The STEAM in STEAM Innovation is an acronym for Science, Technology, Engineering, Arts, and Math. The lab part comes from the creation and innovation of science and the arts. And it's also why Beck and her colleagues here today were wearing lab coats. She says younger people are more aware of the meaning of the term STEAM, but they tend to cater to teens and adults because some of their equipment can be pretty dangerous, like the laser cutter and the Wazer, which is a water laser that they use to cut through glass and stone. STEAM Coordinating Director Ty Dirk gave us a demonstration of the latter, cutting stained glass circles for stained glass teacher Amy Machezik. He's a Shikellamy grad who returned to the area after working in Philadelphia for 20 years, including time at a makerspace like this.
Just walking the dog by the place one day, and the kids were with me, and I saw a makerspace, and I was like, in Sunbury? So I was shocked, and I kept, every time I was walking by, it was still heavily under construction. But I finally found Megan here one day out front with a table, handing out flyers, and I got a tour and started volunteering, and one thing led to another. So now I handle all the classes and programs, events. First Fridays, that's coming up tomorrow.
The First Friday thing has been going on for a year and involves all kinds of different topics, from cracking geodes to fossils. The upcoming one involved fantasy and fairy tales, which explained a lot of the drawings and artwork around the space, and also led into a Fae festival 2 weeks after this in May in Milton. As for the classes, there are 3 to 4 regular ones: 3D printing, financial, crafts, and stained glass, which dovetails us back to Machezik, who has been teaching here for a year. She's been working with stained glass for 19 years and has her own shop called Rain Shine Studio, which is currently under construction. So this is her current public space at the back of STEAM Innovation. Megan first reached out to Amy's father, Rick Wolf of Watsontown Glass, about conducting a class. He wasn't interested, but suggested his daughter, who was very excited for the opportunity.
Right now, I've been like 2 days a month doing beginner level stained glass. So it's if you have no experience at all, you aren't familiar with any of the tools, you haven't previously done it as like a lapsed hobby, you can come in and make a piece, finish it in 2 hours. And so I take some of the steps out of it for the beginner level. So like I cut and grind the glass. I'll demonstrate some of those things, but I just don't think it's necessary to learn every step the first time. And then we make little pieces that are like four pieces as like a beginner. And I use lead-free solder for all of my student stuff. And so come in, make a piece, and leave in 2 hours. So it's actually great for a social event, just like getting the girls together, date night. Like we're coming up on Mother's Day sessions next week. So I have a bunch of people who are signing up to make custom gifts for their moms or as an outing with their mom or their daughter. So it's been a really fun social thing.
While you can take a course here, you can also just come here and do your thing in one of the many creative spots. That's where the monthly memberships come in. They entitle you to come in and work whenever you want, even during the middle of the night.
And then also we have a community behind it. So that's really a huge piece of the puzzle, is this community of creators. So we have like a communication method online where we chat back and forth. If you're like, oh, I really need to use a laser cutter, but I haven't learned how to use that yet. Is there someone that will be in this week that could show me how? And then the person's like, oh yeah, I'll be around on Tuesday. And so you meet up with that person, you learn how to use that piece of equipment, and now you've grown your skill set, and you're able to make more and do more.
It's that kind of collaboration that has even appealed to some of the teachers, like Machezik, who is looking forward to learning how to weld so she can do larger outdoor pieces involving glass and metal, and loves the creative give and take that happens here.
Every day that I'm here, there's other people who have completely different skill sets, and there's always a lot of crosstalk about, like, I have this idea, does this material work this way, how would I solve this problem, and it's really great working space.
So while she is intrigued by the Wazer, she's not as familiar with the software involved, so she turns to Dirk to operate it and cut her glass. And as for him, remember that analogy at the beginning about the candy store? Well, meet the kid.
I mean, this is a big playground for me. I walk around and play with all the toys, so it's awesome. There are a lot of toys to play with. There are. I've taught myself how to use the laser cutter, resin printers, the Wazer, which is a hydro cutter, cuts glass and stone. We have just got a CNC router. I'm excited to learn how to use that. Plotters, crickets, science stuff. I've done experiments. Yeah, I'm just walking around playing around. It's really kind of fun for me. So it's a lot of work to keep everybody, coming here with new things to do. Right. Stained glass is like one of my big classes. Soap making does really well. We have pyrography, which is wood burning. We had soldering class, weather stations, Arduino boards, circuit boards, all kinds of stuff like that. We have a ham radio station that we just got. Yep. So they come here, and we just got a gentleman who is from NASA and a paleontologist, and he makes rocket cars and remote control planes and flies them out of Danville. So we're excited to have him on board. He helps out a lot. We have a woodworking captain. He's helping out with our woodworking and getting our shop set up. So yeah, we have a lot of great people here coming, joining us, and it's been really fun. Just a blast to be at.
The other thing we need to touch upon with STEAM is the mural. The front of the business is eye-catching already, with its many displays that will cause you to linger a bit on Market Street. But it's when you turn the corner onto 4th Street that your eyes will widen. Beck says there have been many attempts to bring a mural to the city with no success. When she bought the building, she reached out to artist Pedro Reyes and asked him to do the mural on the side. He said it would take him 2 months. Years later, Beck says it has become his Sistine Chapel. He constantly adds to it and builds more onto it, so it is in a perpetual state of evolution, much like STEAM. Megan says they could take on more topics, and they also plan to open 14 studios on the 2nd floor, including a recording studio. STEAM Innovation Labs is open from 12 to 8 each day, and Beck says it's been incredible to watch it grow from just her sitting in a big empty space to one that routinely has 30 people coming in each day, with some driving up to 30 minutes to be a part of this space. And here's the bonus if you head into STEAM one day. You'll get to meet the friendliest former stray cat ever. Megan found Clementine and brought her to her new home here, and she has become its constant presence and muse. Always at the ready to be petted, or to plop down on whatever is left laying around, from a coat to a tripod bag. Makerspaces like this one are becoming more common, especially within the last 5 to 10 years, so you can head to their website to find out more about them. And when we come back, we'll head down the block a little bit to the Albright Center for the Arts and show you all that they have planned for that amazing space.
Experience reliable whole home Wi-Fi from SECV. Our trained technicians set up your network for peak performance. Stream HD videos to multiple devices. Walk room to room on a video call and more with whole home Wi-Fi powered by Plume. Parental controls help keep kids safe. Maintain privacy with a guest network for visitors and manage all your features with the amazing Home Pass app. Give us a call or visit secv.com to learn more. We're here for you.
Hello everybody, I'm Carl Bauer. Join me as we sit down with some local sports legends of the past. From state champions to gold medalists, we catch up and find out whatever happened to those fantastic local athletes. Join me every Monday at 2 and 6 p.m. for Catching Up with Carl, only on Service Electric Cablevision, channel 508 HD.
What on earth is going on with the Republican Party? Isn't this just a huge problem for the Biden campaign? Do you think that Russia is now winning in Ukraine? Does any of that give you pause? What are the logistics around getting that much aid? How do regular Americans see all of this drama?
It is sad, it is pathetic.
What can you tell us about the status of that investigation? What would you do if you were president?
Newsnight with Abby Phillip, weeknights at 10 Eastern on CNN.
Karen Meeks performs a song from the repertoire of Ma Rainey during the performance of The Divas with Blue River Soul back in April at the Albright Center for the Arts in Sunbury. Rainey was one of 4 women Meeks portrayed during the night in the show the group hopes to take to Broadway. The performance in a dinner theater setting was a great way for them to test everything out: Meeks singing, the music, and the lighting. It also was a great way for the center to do a full production for the first time.
We were able to host them in this venue where put the show together with lights, with the sound, all of the things that go along with producing a show, and see how it worked. And for them it was a milestone in the level of production of their show, and for us it was a milestone in showing what the Albright Center and Community Center can be. Like, this is a glimpse of the vision that those folks had back in 2014. So 10 years later, we're finally able to kind of get a glimpse of this coming to fruition.
And they showed off the great building in a big way, with a red carpet outside and a photographer to take pictures in front of a backdrop promoting both the center and its parent organization, Sunbury's Revitalization, Inc. There were tables to enjoy the catered meals, along with wines from a local company. Some of the people in attendance were involved in the initial push to turn this building from a church into an arts center way back in 2014 when it was handed to SRI. A lot has happened over the past 10 years to get the building to this point, along with some sweat, blood, and hand-wringing. The one constant through it all has been Slade Schreck, a member of Sunbury City Council and the then SRI Council that was organized to oversee the development of the building. Schreck acted as a liaison between the city and the building group.
They approached one of our board members, John Shipman, and because their congregation has shrank to the point where they merged with another church, they approached John Shipman about SRI taking this over and donated it to SRI. And of course, the SRI board says, absolutely, we'd love to have it. Not realizing at the time what was involved with that, saying yes.
Yeah.
And since then, it's been a mission. It's getting accomplished. It's just slow, but it's happening. I mean, since then we have put an elevator in. We just did all this HVAC system in here, the new kitchen. So it's getting there. It's just a long process. We've probably spent over $2 million so far in this building.
This grand building with its distinctive green cap was built back in 1927 and eventually became the Albright United Methodist Church, a big church that catered to a population in the city that at the time numbered between 16 and 17,000. It was the result of the merger of several congregations and was named after Reverend Albright, who would ride between his churches taking care of their needs on the frontier in the 1700s. But at the time they decided to donate the building to SRI, the congregation had dwindled to almost nothing. They handed it over with only one stipulation, that the name Albright would remain with the building, thus the Albright Center for the Arts. Another congregation did use the building for a time, but soon became too big for it. They've also had some churches with smaller congregations put together choirs that have performed here.
We also have a storytelling series, and this is more, we had Billy Kelly do his True Irish Ghost Stories here. That was a smaller event. He was down on the floor. It was about 80 people, not so complicated, but it's a really wonderful event to bring the community together. We've had an Irish Hoolie, where again, it was the beginning of first Saturday of March, and we plan to do it every year. And it's leaning into, well, it's St. Patrick's Day, the month of St. Patrick's Day, but we want to learn more about the Irish culture. We have a number of people in our community of that heritage, and we want to accentuate the music and the dance and the storytelling.
And for the love of coffee?
We did. We had a For the Love of Coffee event, so we partnered with Fresh Roasted Coffee, a growing company in Sunbury, and they brought all the coffee, and we had some nice coffee house vibes going on, some live entertainment, and a brunch, and that was a nice community event as well.
And that was in February.
And that was in February. So every month, pretty much, throughout the rest of the year, we'll have something going on here.
Acker says she was looking to put together their first year of programming for the arts, which is often necessary to be eligible for future grants. Many of the Endowment for the Arts grants require you to show at least a year of history of putting on programming, so this begins their history. It also brings several big issues to the forefront for the center. The first has to do with the constant struggle places like the Albright Center face, finding funding. They've had some successes on this front. As you heard Slade say, they put about $2 million into the building already for the very important elevator to make it handicap accessible. In this area, they have a new HVAC system and renovated the kitchen, which at this time was being used by a caterer. That really put the downstairs banquet hall level into a complete package where they can have the event like they had the show, along with weddings and receptions with the kitchen. And Slade also likes to draw attention to their recently refurbished bathrooms. Grants made all of that possible, including the architectural plans for the renovation. They've also been able to get private donations through capital campaigns, although they found that revenue source to be less than fruitful in the past because there are a lot of organizations with a lot of capital campaigns, and it becomes difficult when you're the new kid on the block. So they've been able to get this area done and funded their phase 1 of sorts. The other phases sit above us and would normally be the next ones to tackle if not for the big roadblock that the building faces.
Yeah. Would this be considered like the first phase?
Yeah, well, this is the second phase. The rest of the building This was a fun story. So with the heating and air conditioning completed in the summer, we contacted our heating specialists, and because the whole building is heated on a steam radiator system, which has had its issues and leaking, and we have water leak damage and things over time.
Pretty much the same furnace that's been in here since it was built, I think.
Probably, yeah. So we said, okay, well, now we can turn off certain sections now that we have the new down here. And when they came and looked at the furnace, they unfortunately had to condemn it. The boiler was damaged and was leaking and unsafe. So this is the only part of the building that has full climate control, and the rest we make do, and hopefully that's our highest priority. Next is the heating and air conditioning system and upgraded electricity to the rest of the building, which is big. But that's probably a $1.5 or $1.8 million project.
Until that time, they look for weather that's conducive to hold events up here in this very large auditorium. You can just tell that Jody and Slade can't wait to get to this area because they can see the potential here. And it's not just the auditorium, it's the space behind it. 2 levels of individual rooms that could be used as studio space for art, music, and other endeavors. SRI already has a presence up here. There came a time when the organization was at a crossroads. Do they continue occupying a storefront on Market Street in Sunbury, or do they make the move here to space they don't have to pay for? And the answer was obviously very clear to them. But it's when you start talking with them about the possibilities for this area that their eyes start to light up.
We want to start like a music listening series. One of our board members, Ed Krebs, is a musician himself, and he has those connections, so he's going to organize some listening experiences where a band or performer might get to just do a concert versus being in a bar setting where people are not really paying attention, but they can, people to really listen and appreciate their music, singer-songwriters and things like that.
Yeah,
so.
we before we found out the furnace was condemned, I had in my head that I was going to do a Christmas show, and I was going to use all the local schools' chorus or choirs to come in and do the show. You know, and make it a show so, you know, you can incorporate Chickalimi, Selinsgrove, Schmoke, and Line Mountain, Danville, incorporate all these to bring their choirs in to a Christmas show. And then I had it pictured in my head that at the end they all would come on the stage and sing Silent Night or something like that. Of course, then the furnace was shot and we couldn't do it.
It's too cold.
And it's either too cold in there or too hot. So there's short little windows we have each part of the year until we get it fixed.
The tally to get the rest of this building to where they want it to be is about $6 million. So they've decided to shoot for the moon and see what they get, and then they'll go from there. In the meantime, they look for opportunities to play a role in the community and help out by offering up their space. They recently allowed a nonprofit to use their building for a food distribution. The Chamber of Commerce and other businesses have used their downstairs banquet hall for functions, so the word is getting out about this place and what it currently has to offer. All of this fits in with the mission of Sunbury's Revitalization, Inc., collaborating with other agencies and organizations, connecting businesses and residents to resources, and then also cultivating a very positive image of Sunbury. Everything that is beginning to happen here and could happen here in the future, including the performances, will hopefully bring visitors and economic energy into Sunbury and to the businesses downtown and throughout the city and the region.
And Jody very sheepishly admitted to us that she has already started thinking about a 100th anniversary celebration for this building in 2027. If you have a segment idea for us, send it to us at IYN@SECV8.com or stop by our Facebook page. And that's going to do it for us from Sunbury tonight. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again next time. I'm your host, Chris O'Rourke. Maybe we'll see you again in your neighborhood.